Our first speaker this evening is Hein, and Marnus is going to deliver Hein's evaluation. Hein, can you give us the criteria for Can you give us the criteria for Hein's speech, please?
Right, so the purpose statement for Hein's speech tonight is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify their primary style, and for the member to share the impact of their style on others.
Thank you very much, Marnus. So Hein is doing a speech from Presentation Mastery. It's level 2. I'm not actually sure which project it is, but I'll fill that in later. And while we wait for him to just set up his tech so that it can all go properly, we will just take it. On behalf of Hein.
Thank you. I realized preparing this, I'm a lot more of a visual person than I thought, so I like the slide thing, so apologies for the setting up and all of that stuff.
Please, will you help me welcome you ready, Mike?
Can I ask, do you want the lights down? Up to you.
It doesn't really matter. I think you guys should be able to see. It's not super clear, but I think it will be okay.
The light switch is at the back in the corner there somewhere.
Yeah, he says it's okay.
Okay.
But if you change your mind, just let us
Please
know.
help me welcome Hein. Now you're speaking my language. Now you're speaking my language, Hein Muller.
Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I must say this task was a pretty challenging task in some way. Firstly, just because talking about yourself is often a little bit uncomfortable. And secondly, doing introspection takes work. It's often a lot easier to analyze someone else than it is to analyze yourself. But saying though, this is a really valuable topic, to be honest with you. It's valuable in understanding your own communication style, but especially other people's communication styles, because they differ. I can remember a specific time when I really kind of clicked, or understood that. It was way back in the UK. I was working in a really quiet little place, southwest London, quiet little practice. You had a lot of time with the patient. You could build up a bit of rapport, you could chit-chat, talk a bit about the family. And then at some point the company asked me to work in central London, just to help out in central London in the banking district. Different world. I mean, it was high-paced, it was high-pressure, it was high-powered kind of people. And I had this HSBC banker sitting in front of me there. And I started with the normal spiel, how's it going, how are the eyes, how's the family? And that's pretty much when he interrupted me. And he said, is this going to take long? And that's when I clicked. That's when I understood, I'm going to have to make a few adjustments to my communication. So on the website, I don't know for those who haven't done it before, so on the website you do a quick little quiz on your communication style. It gives you a pretty good idea of your style. So to give you a quick rundown, my strongest one was analytical, so I scored 5 out of 5 for analytical, 3 out of 5 for direct communication, 3.5 for supportive, and then 1 out of 5 for initiative communication. So my natural habitat is not being too enthusiastic, I would say. But these kind of communication styles will make a bit more sense if you haven't heard of it before. So I'm just going to run through a little bit about my style. So I scored the highest in analytical, and it makes sense. I like order, I like being precise, and I often see that at home. Often when I'll chat to the kids, when I'll explain to them, they really need to work hard when they study, they need to work hard when they do their training, because they need to do things properly. They'll often call it moan. At work, it'll be about handing out tasks. It'll be about explaining clinical findings with a patient, or maybe be with a customer complaint, something like that. But analytical people want order. They want that data. Secondly, direct. I wouldn't say it comes too naturally to me, but at work, sometimes you just got to make that final call. You need that directness sometimes. So direct people don't want to take the kind of scenic route. They just want to get to that point. They want clarity. Next one was supportive. So supportive, I wasn't too surprised. It comes reasonably naturally to me. I think my wife would agree, or disagree actually. That, but it's supposed to be about being calm. It's about being steady. It's about being supportive. In optometry, there's a sales side to optometry, and I learned early on that I don't like the hard sell. I'm not comfortable with the hard sell to patients. I'm more comfortable with giving an honest, trustworthy opinion to a patient. You want that trust. You want them to come back. And I think that's where the supportive really shows. And then finally, initiating. Well, initiating, that's your social butterflies. That's your networkers. That's, that's not me. The storytellers. Christine, the storyteller. So, in practice, your patients are still your customers, so you still need to kind of build up a positive rapport. You want them to feel comfortable. But you can imagine seeing people every 30 minutes. It's pretty exhausting. But subconsciously, I think we all kind of adapt to some extent. We all actually do this. You adapt to the kind of person that sits in front of you, but we can do it better. So what I've done was I've had a look at the kind of communication styles that I see in my practice, how I can do it better. Hopefully you can take one or two of these and apply it to your setting. So let me show you. Remember that HSBC guy? He's a direct communicator. Don't communicate with him the way I communicate. Don't chit-chat. Don't repeat stuff. Don't talk to him about coatings for 10 minutes. Get to the point, get to the problem, get to the point, give him the price, get him out of there. And that will make him happy. That's the direct communicator. The analytical communicator, that's often your engineer. These guys want data. They want info. Don't come to them with emotional stuff. It's not going to sell. Give them the data. That's what they want. That's what makes them happy. These guys will often be a little bit critical. They probably won't trust you when you tell them something. But you give them the data, they'll probably come around. And then you've got the supportive communicator. That's your mom with her kid. She's concerned. She's concerned about her eyes. She's concerned about her kid's eyes. Don't hammer her with data and efficiency. Just care. Listen to what she wants to say. Build up her trust. And in the end, tell her that it'll be okay. That's the best way to communicate with her. And then finally, you've got the initiator communicator, Granny on an outing. So she's there to test her eyes, but she's actually there for an outing. She's there to tell you a little bit about Mossel Bay, about her arthritis, about the cat next door, about her grandkids. So, again, don't hammer her with data, don't hammer her with efficiency. With this one, you got to just sit back, fold your arms, listen, and she values that conversation. She values that connection. So yes, I've certainly learned a lot in this task. I've learned that communication is a lot more than just expressing yourself better. It's a lot more than just saying things better or saying it longer or saying it louder. It's a lot about adjusting yourself, adjusting to the people that you're speaking. And in the end, what do we want to do? We want to be heard, then you're going to hear better. So just for a moment, think about it. Imagine the impact if you were able to nail this kind of stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that informative speech, Hein. And now we know how to deal with all the different people that we get around in our world and in our daily lives. The timekeeper's report. Melvin, can you give us the time for the speech, please? Thanks.
Good evening, Toastmasters. Hein's time is 8 minutes 9 seconds.
Thank you very much. And Rudolph, any Marian information for us, please?
Thanks, Hein. I was just saying I resonated a lot with your style. I think you share a lot of communication style. One word I liked a lot was introspection. I think it's a very good word. One thing I did notice what I liked is that you list things a lot, and you also alliterate. You would say high pace, high power, high pressure, or it's about being calm, being steady, being supportive. I think that's really effective. If I can make one suggestion is you start by describing it, you get the list, and you can end with the thing you're starting with. So if you say he's a direct communicator, he likes it, you do the list, and you end it again saying that's a direct communicator. I think that would drive the point home and makes it a bit more convincing. But other than that, I think you use a lot of active language, which I think is nice. It's not too academic. People understand it very well, very simply put and clear.
Marcus, are you ready to deliver the evaluation? Do you need another?
I need like 30 seconds, please. Otherwise, I'm going to forget this last
Oh,
one.
Do you want some questions?
You can take a question, yes?
Have you lived in just the UK and South Africa or everywhere else?
Yeah, pretty much.
And how did you find, other than the banker from HSBC,
Yes.
from a cultural perspective, do you notice a big difference in culture from British to Britain to South Africa in terms of, in general, communication styles?
I think people are people. I think it depends on the setting, really. I mean, you will also have the people that would chit-chat and they like the chat and so on. Maybe here in the Afrikaans community that I get to know quite well. I mean, they really like to talk a bit about the family and this and that. Maybe because I was a South African, there wasn't that rapport as much as I would with an Afrikaans person here as such. But I mean, as a general rule, I can say people are people, no matter where you put them.
You didn't find that diplomatic avoidance in England? Slightly more indirect.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, they're a lot more politically correct than South Africans, that's for sure. We say it like it is, good or bad.
Please help me welcome Marcus to give us the evaluation on Hein's speech. Marcus.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Hein. Thank you for delivering an excellent speech on communication styles in general. It really was an honest and prominent view of styles, and especially of what your style is. And what I appreciate about it a lot is you clearly knew what your style isn't. So I think you did excellent in giving us an overview, and then you rounded off your speech with some practical examples as to where you have encountered these different communication styles in your day-to-day life. And that actually made me think, this is something I should use as well. Personally, I'm somewhere between the banker that's in a rush and the engineer that wants a bunch of stats. For future reference. But I also appreciated that you concluded with what you learned. So that was really good. First thing that struck me with the speech was your technology was ready to go instantly. So well done on that. And then you were very aware of the projector and never once did you step in front of it. So well done on that as well. And you had very nice casual jokes sprinkled in as a sideline, and I really appreciate that. It's clear that it comes natural to you. The other thing that I enjoyed was you had your notes here, and you had one or two stumbles, and when you lost the plot, you had a quick glance at the notes, and I don't know if you actually read anything, but it put you right back onto that storyline, and that's really what notes are for. It's not like me standing with this book now, so well done on that as well. I also liked your hand gestures and it snapped with you. I think that was very good. Something that you can work on is, and that struck me as a little bit odd, is you had the clicker by your notes. So it would be as if you are starting to get up to speed, and as you're driving a point, you need to jump to a different slide, step back, take a click, put it back, and you step back into the conversation. So myself, that is new style. Sorry about that. Okay, then your use of space. You were quite static. Only actually moving back for your notes once or twice. Other than that, I think there's also a very real constraint here, but there is a little bit of movement that you can make. You moved around a bit on the spot, but that was it. And then to challenge yourself. This is something that I struggle with as well, is especially at the start of your speech, you had a lot of hand movements, but a lot of them were on the slow side, and they were flowing with the conversation. They weren't really deliberate, as in, and the back said to me, "Why are you taking so long?" or something along those lines. And then one other thing that I think you should just keep in the back of your mind is that, especially in earlier parts of the speech, it can be that you do not have a lot of vocal variety, if that makes sense. Where, to contrast that, is where you step through the 5 examples. I think that was brilliant, and it was up and down, and she was there telling you about the cat, and there was this engineer who just wants stats. I think that was very well. So if you could spread that across the entire speech, I think it would round it off very well. Thank you much, ladies and gentlemen.
Report and the variance report, please. I mean for the evaluation and for the variance report.
For the variance was 1 minute, 15 seconds. And for 3 minutes.